look at this game. It's a beautiful video game, a wonderful and authentic testament to Star Wars, multiple eras, a load of depth in the gameplay, different classes, heroes, vehicles, an economy system, 11 galactic assault maps, absolutely brilliant Starfighter assault game mode that could be a game on its own if it wanted to, and also a AAA single player campaign that's classed as canon by Disney, tying up some loose ends between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. And no season pass, all of the content released for the game going forward from launch will be free. I think Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a great game. I love it, but there's one major problem that's overshadowed the game and will continue to do so unless changes are made soon, and that's loot crates and progression. If you've been paying attention to the gaming media over the past couple of days, Twitter, Reddit, websites, wherever, you'll probably have seen this popping up everywhere. Battlefront 2 has a pay to win problem. Battlefront 2 is still pay to win. Unlocking heroes in Star Wars Battlefront 2 could take a long time. It's the hot topic at the moment, easy clicks, a bit of controversy, everyone is talking about it and reading it. So what's the problem with the loot crates in this game then? Well, in Battlefront 2 you can equip star cards on your characters and vehicles that enhance their abilities or modify them in a certain way. They might give you a bit more range on a hero skill, or more time or extra length on a grenade throw. There's all sorts in there. Most of them I think don't offer a massive advantage. An extra second on an ability or an extra meter blast radius on a grenade, for example. But there are some cards for the starfighters and heroes in particular that will significantly improve them, especially at blue and purple levels. Vader, Yoda and Bosk are the worst offenders. Other cards that offer shorter recharge times on abilities could also have a big impact. Each card has a quality rating: grey, green, blue and purple, with grey being the worst and purple being the best. Now in this game you can obtain star cards in two different ways. The first way is that you can craft them with crafting parts. The second way is that you can get them from crates, which can be bought with credits earned in the game, completing milestones, or with real money converted to in-game crystals. And you can get any type of star card in a crate apart from the purple ones, which I just mentioned are the best ones. Now star cards can be upgraded too with crafting parts. You can change a green into a blue, for example. However, these upgrades are gated behind overall rank and card levels, and this is to ensure that someone can't spend, let's say, $500 on crates the day the game comes out and instantly have all of the best purple star cards in the game. They're going to have to put some time into the game playing it and leveling up their classes and cards before they can do this. It's also worth saying that everything in the game can eventually be unlocked by just playing the game. Nothing can be exclusively bought only with real cash. So hypothetically speaking, if you had enough playtime you could unlock everything without spending any additional cash over the base price of the game. My experience with the game so far is this. As of yet, I haven't spent any real money on crates. All of the crates and credits that I've earned have been via in-game challenges, milestones in campaign, arcade and multiplayer, and I think there was a couple there for pre-order bonuses, and just from playing the game in PvP. So I've got a total of 16 star cards, and some of them I can't even use because the heroes are locked. More on that later. Most of my classes and heroes though don't even have any. I've got 0 star cards for any starfighter, and out of around 8 hours of multiplayer playtime so far, I've never had a situation where I thought that someone beat me because they had better star cards. I regularly come top in matches of Galactic Assault and Starfighter Assault. I'm relying on my skills. The cards, they don't bother me personally one bit. They don't factor into my gameplay, and I don't think any of them offer a distinct massive advantage. If you're an awful player with lots of money and you buy a load of crates to get a load of star cards, then you won't be as good as a skilled player with no star cards at all. These things don't weigh the odds in bad players' favour. However, on the flip side of this is where it starts to get messy. If you're a good player starting the game and dropping money on some crates to open, you will be able to equip star cards that improve your abilities. That's a fact. And if two equally skilled players go up against each other, statistically speaking, the guy who spent real money and opened crates and got a lot more cards will have a numbers advantage over the guy that didn't open any crates. Statistically, that's a fact. Obviously, there are other factors at play here though in a realistic in-game situation. They might be of equal skill, but the player with no star cards could still outplay and defeat the guy with cards with a clever tactic or luck or timing or whatever. They could outplay them. As I said, I don't think the cards give you that massive advantage that it's game breaking, but the numbers do still show a slight advantage. Give it a few days playtime and the guy who's just playing the game and not spending any real money will eventually get to the same statistical level as the guy who did spend money and got better star cards straight away. That guy could play the game, do some challenges, do some milestones, and end up with exactly the same cards as the guy that spent real money on them. So what's the big problem with all of this then? Well, the first thing is that when progression and in-game advantages are tied into loot crates, fans of your game will flip their lids and rage about it. If you can buy power, no matter how small the advantage, no matter if a player not spending any money can eventually get it all themselves by just grinding the game, the details are not important. It doesn't matter. Gamers will scream pay to win. There will be articles about it everywhere, and it's going to overshadow what's an excellent game in the example of Star Wars Battlefront 2. So when the reviews come out soon, the scores will be lower because it's a full price game with microtransactions and loot crates containing in-game advantages tied to progression. Right now, it's trendy to talk about how Battlefront 2 is pay to win. That's all you're going to hear about in the reviews. The system is also very confusing with 3 different currencies, credits, shards, crafting parts. It's a confusing leveling system all based around the star cards in the loot crates, and it doesn't help the situation at all. The second major problem with this system at the moment is that the grinding for credits to open loot crates and get star cards if you don't want to spend any money is excessive. Also, your performance in game does not reflect the amount of credits that you get. Across the board, a player at the bottom of the team will get almost the same credits as a player at the top. And worse than this, if you play really well in a match and the game ends quickly, it's actually detrimental for accruing credits, and you'd have got a lot more credits if the game went on for longer. Certain heroes and villains are also locked behind a massive amount of credits. Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, for example, 2 of the most iconic Star Wars characters. The original trilogy revolves around these characters, and they're locked behind 60,000 credits each. 60,000! One user on Reddit named The Hotter Potato calculated that from their playtime and personal average credits per game, they would need to play for roughly 40 hours to unlock one of these heroes, and that whole time saving all of their credits and not spending any of their credits on crates to get new star cards or crafting parts for improving their other classes. It's worth saying that I don't think he took milestones and challenges into account here, as they can earn you chunks of credits and will decrease that time, but still 40 hours base playtime, that is obscene in my opinion. That isn't fun, and it's a massive grind. For starters, I don't think any hero or villain should be locked in this game, and you should be able to play with them all from the get-go. The way I see it is that this is a Star Wars Battlefront game. If I've already paid full price for the game, I've got some expectations there. You can't lock 2 massive iconic characters behind that much grinding and playtime, especially when you've got game modes like Heroes versus Villains in there, which are all about those epic iconic character face-offs. So if hero locks are to remain in the game, then they need to cost significantly less than this. I think 10,000 would be a much fairer value, or the rate of accruing credits needs to be increased, tie it to skill and battle points. Instead of giving the player at the top of the scoreboard roughly the same credits as the guy at the bottom, scale the credits based on performance and reward them accordingly. Maybe you could offer more credits for objective play. A skilled player should not be punished for doing well. Worryingly, I think that this might even tie into the fact that we're getting free content as well. It's been announced that in December, Finn and Captain Phasma are being added to the game as playable heroes and villains, but based on what we've seen here, I think it's quite fair to assume that they will cost credits to unlock as well. So does that mean we're in for another 60,000 excessive grindfest if we want to unlock those? Maybe. On the flip side, perhaps an interesting way to unlock these heroes would be through completing challenges or assignments rather than having to spend credits. So we have to ask the question, why have these heroes been locked behind massive credit walls? Well, I think it's to incentivize you to spend money on crates and get duplicate star cards, which then turn into credits. From the outside, that's really how it looks. So why do they want you to buy loot crates? Obviously, DICE and EA are businesses. They want to make money, they need to make money, everyone loves money. And with that money they can make a bigger profit, and also continue to add content for free to Star Wars Battlefront 2. Making games is expensive. No season pass though. That was one of the best announcements and features of this game, right? I think we can all agree on that. We all asked for it after the first game. We saw how badly the season pass divided the first game, and the fact that there's no season pass in a AAA Star Wars game made by DICE and EA is huge. It's a fantastic victory for us players and fans of the game. All of the content going forward for this game will be free. Multiplayer, heroes, maps, skins, even recently announced single player. Awesome, right? No season pass means that the community won't be split behind a premium paywall, and in theory, players will keep playing the game together for longer. That's better for us because new content is fun, better for the developers, better for the publishers. It's becoming games as a consistent service rather than main game plus 4 tacked on DLC map packs. That's a bit old fashioned now, and it means that they can do more interesting things with the additional content. No season pass is the reason that we have loot crates in this game, so they can afford to make new content. Now I'm going to be totally honest with you here, I don't give a crap about loot crates. I never have, I never will. CSGO, PUBG, H1Z1, Battlefront 2, they've all come and gone. I couldn't care less about skins, customization, whatever it is. That's just the type of gamer I am. It's never interested me. For me, it's the gameplay that's the most important thing. If I like the game, I'm going to play it regardless of if it has a loot crate system or not. I could happily play Battlefront 2 without ever spending real money on a crate. So far, with my experience of the game, without spending additional cash, it's been fine. I've been playing well, winning games. I haven't seen a disadvantage for myself personally. However, what did I say earlier? That doesn't matter. As long as there's progression and potential star card advantages in the loot crates, people will brand it as pay to win. And you can totally understand why people say that when you can immediately get star cards in loot crates by spending real money, and the star cards, as we discussed earlier, 100% give you a statistical advantage over people who haven't unlocked them straight away. Now, in an ideal world, there would only be cosmetic items in the Battlefront 2 loot crates. I think we can all agree on that. Perhaps some double XP boosts in there too. I would personally be okay with that. But the point is that you shouldn't be able to get star cards in loot crates. That's the biggest issue I and many other people have with this game in its current state. With that said, are we ever going to get a version of Battlefront 2 that only has cosmetic items in loot crates? No, I don't think we are, and here's why I think that is. To start with though, I have to state that DICE could do way better with the cosmetic options in the crates at the moment. We've got hero appearances, emotes and victory poses, that's it. I think there's scope and potential to add more realistic cosmetic options here. For example, in the first DICE Battlefront game, you could change all of the heads to different alien races. Cool feature. So in this game, why not bring that back, and maybe you could add some small armor customization and coloring, especially on the clones and stormtroopers. I think that would work. Battle scarred armor, for example. There's a ton of lore and interesting stuff in the current canon Star Wars universe. There's no doubt about that. DICE could do better here. But honestly, I think it's only the very simple customization options at all that they would be allowed to get away with. So why is that then? Well, let me try and explain why. This is the reality of the customization situation for a Star Wars game in 2017. Now, I'm not apologizing for DICE here or pandering to them. This is how it is, and I know this for a fact because I've spoken with the developers at events about this months ago, even going back to when they were making the first Battlefront game. It was exactly the same back then. Everything that DICE and EA want to make for this game has to go through Lucas and Disney approval. Those are the guys that own the Star Wars universe now. The way the ships look, the character models, the way the heroes move, the voice lines they say, the colouring on the TIE fighters and X-Wings, every little detail has to be perfectly authentic and exactly how Lucas and Disney want it to look, even in video games. Hypothetically speaking, maybe DICE want to add an armband customization to a stormtrooper. They submit it for approval, Lucas don't like it, no, that stormtrooper would never look like that in Star Wars, and the idea is scrapped, that customization option is gone. They are at the strict discretion of Lucas and Disney here for cosmetics. That's the reality, and that's why they're selling progression and star cards in loot crates. Because if all they had in there was the current cosmetic options, which are really bad and uninteresting, and potential weak future options, no one would buy them. No one buys loot crates equals less profit equals less money to make new content for the game. Games like Overwatch, who only have cosmetics in their loot crates, make this work really well because they've got full creative control over how their iconic characters look. It's the reason that they can do really cool skins for their characters and have themed skins for Halloween, summer games, Christmas, etc. The new Overwatch skins are dope and people want to buy them because they're so unique and interesting and different. Blizzard can do whatever the hell they want with them though. DICE and EA do not have that liberty. I mean, look at this. It isn't that hard to come up with some cool ideas for cosmetic Star Wars skins in Battlefront 2 that I think people would want to buy and play as. Zombie Stormtrooper, Hawaiian Stormtrooper, a Samurai Darth Vader, How awesome is that? Slave Leia, Steampunk Chewbacca, Sabine's graffiti TIE fighter from Star Wars Rebels. It took me like 20 seconds to come up with those ideas, and I can guarantee you that there are DICE developers who want to put that level of customization in the game and in the loot crates, but the reality is it's never going to happen because Lucas and Disney would never sign off on it or approve it because it's an official Star Wars product, and Star Wars is the most anal franchise about what's in the universe, what isn't, and getting it to look right. I mean, I'm still incredibly surprised that they allowed cross-era heroes. I don't know how they managed to get away with that one, but they did. Perhaps Disney and Lucas don't fully understand the situation with what's happening with this game at the moment. And maybe they should afford DICE with a little more leeway with the character customization to put more interesting things in the loot crates so they can remove the stuff like progression from them. I personally would love to see crazy skins and cool customization in the game that people want to buy and wear, but I just can't see it happening once you know how all of this works. Maybe there are more options here, but I don't think they're obvious. In conclusion, star cards and progression in loot crates that people can buy with real money will always be frowned upon, no matter what the size or temporary timescale of the advantage. Accruing credit should be tied to skill to make grinding for loot crates less painful. Perhaps there should be more milestones, or you should be able to prestige milestones once you've completed them for big chunks of credits, i.e. they become exponentially harder each time. Locking iconic playable heroes behind ridiculous credit numbers is bad. There will always be people with money who will look at the grind situation in the game and can't be bothered or don't have the time to spend grinding for star cards, so they will just spend real money to unlock star cards and not have a problem with it at all. And finally, Lucas approved cosmetic items in a modern Star Wars game will always be restrictive and uninteresting unless they relinquish some creative control. Right, that's all. I'm going to go and shoot some stormtroopers. Goodbye.